It's summertime, and you know what that means.
It's too darn hot, too darn hot, too darn hot. It's so hot!
Yeah, there's that. But also cookouts, pool parties, and the beach.
Oh, I'm all a tingle.
Right? And what do you need for those activities?
Sunscreen. Sunscreen.
Sunscreen. Sunscreen.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about music.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Toxic Radio is ready to go with you wherever your summer takes you. All you need is your smartphone, a Bluetooth speaker, and the free Toxic Radio app. You can also catch us on the TuneIn Radio app.
What if it's too hard?
Yeah, what if it's too hard?
Were you even listening? Phone, speaker, app. It's not hard at all.
Actually, super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Damn right it is. So make sure you have us with you all summer and never miss out on the great shows and the great music. Toxic Radio. Don't play your summer safe. Play it toxic. Like listening to Toxic Radio?
Goddamn right.
Well, don't forget, this is the 21st century. Join us in the social media world. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pornhub.
Pornhub?
Just kidding. Or am I? Toxic Radio. Get infected.
Shia, I like the Titleist hat in the intro. Like, I feel like you need to bring the Titleist hat back.
That's old school. We can do that. I still have it.
Welcome, everyone, to the somber day. The somber day. It is our final show in this beautiful studio at Toxic Radio.
Yeah, we're getting emotional early.
Yeah, listen, I wanted to start the show off by thanking Mike, Jamie, and the entire Toxic Radio crew. Those guys are awesome. We will be going remote from here on forward, so look forward to new news. But I wanted to thank them for everything they've done. They're going to still download the app, listen to them on Toxic Radio. Great people, but the show must go on. So let's get started. I am your... Oh, hold on. I'll do my intro this way. I am your new Sippo Madden champion of the world.
No one cares.
Well, Jonathan Siames cares. He was a little upset last night. Gene Walzak, and to my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the uncle, Shally.
Show is off the rails already.
We're always off the rails.
Like way off the rails.
It's all right. It's okay. Coming to us remote, we have Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
June, I still think I smoke you in Madden.
You're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
Why haven't you guys played? You guys have different systems?
Isn't it cross-platform now?
Maybe the new one will be.
I hope so. I promise you, you will get beat in Madden. I don't think it would be close either. I don't really think it'll be close.
That's fine.
But Audia, no one cares. Okay, Audia.
I agree, Audia.
All right, so we got a ton to get into this week. The MLB Trade Deadline. We have our linebackers list. These are linebackers, not edge rushers. We'll have a specific list for your Khalil Macks, your TJ Watts. So I just want to be clear about that. We have our Mount Rushmore matchup of the week. I love this matchup. I mean, let's just go south, right? Houston versus Phoenix. Phoenix versus Houston. Finkel and Einhorn. Einhorn and Finkel. We have the ACC College Football Preview. This is what Cottrell has been waiting for almost a year. He doesn't even like the national championship in college football. He likes the previews more. He could tell you about the scouts, the uncles of the players. They were drafted. Cottrell's ready. I hope you have at least one fun fact tonight, Cottrell, about the ACC preview. And then we have the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, coming for her title back versus Juliana Pena. The champion at 135. Did you think that you were going to say a champion at 135 and it not be Amanda Nunes this year? I don't know. I didn't.
No.
And then if we have a little time, we got a little bit of fictional characters' deaths that broke us.
We have to get to it. It's fun.
I would love to get to that. All right, so let's get started with the MLB trade deadline. Shally, I would like you to introduce it, give us some hot names that could be on the block, and let us know who you think's being moved.
Well, the big name, I mean, obviously the trade deadline is next week. It's August 2nd. I think everything gets to be done by 4 o'clock, I believe, or at least signed and sent to the league office, blah, 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 all that good stuff. I mean, the big name is the name that's dominated the headlines the last week and a half is Juan Soto. Ever since he turned down that contract extension for Washington for 14 years, $440 million, pretty much been a known entity that they're going to try to trade him. If they can get something done by next week, it remains to be seen. I think they will. They're not going to get more for him now than in any other time than they would right now. You have 2.5 years of control left with him at a relatively cheap price for a player his caliber. So whoever gets him is going to have him for a playoff push this year and the next 2 years, and you're going to get first crack at re-signing him. So Juan Soto is definitely the big name. There's some other names out there that are kind of, depending on who you talk to, people think they are available, they're not available. The Shohei Ohtani thing is very interesting. Gets even more interesting with the information that came out about Mike Trout today. So, I mean, that's a name to watch. They have a lot of money tied up in a couple players. I don't think realistically they can carry two $400 million contracts on the same roster, plus Rendon and a couple other people. So they're going to have to make a decision there sooner or later. But he's tied up through next year as well, so they don't have to trade him this year. They could wait till the offseason, the winter meetings, or they could trade him next year if they don't think they can re-sign him. So and there's a bunch of I don't want to say role players, but the next tier down. Those are the two elite players that could possibly be on the move. You have Noah Syndergaard from the Angels, which the Phillies are apparently in on, trying to add another quality starter. You have Andrew Benintendi, is another guy the Phillies are attached to. Luis Castillo, I think from the Reds is probably the top pitcher that's going to be moved. You have JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts from Boston. They're not sure what's going on there yet. I mean, he's turned down every contract offer they've given him. I don't think he plays in Boston again after this year. You have Frankie Montas, who's actually pitching tonight for Oakland. He's a very good, very underrated pitcher. He's just stuck on a really bad team. He could be a difference maker down the stretch. I think it's going to be an interesting week. I think you're going to see trades made. I think you're going to see people move. I personally think Soto will get moved, but I think somebody's going to have to break the bank to do it. I don't think Washington's going to give him away.
I'm going to ask you a couple players I'm hearing an echo.
There's an echo.
It's gone. No, it's not.
No, it's yours.
So I'm going to ask you a couple players who I think are going to be moved, and if you think they're going to be moved or not, let me know.
Okay.
And I'd like you to answer too, if you don't mind. First and foremost, do you think Juan Soto gets moved?
I do.
Yes.
Mike Trout.
No.
I'm gonna say no. But the percentage of it is going up daily.
The newest news, I think that's the biggest piece. Like, if you're a team and you want a talent like Mike Trout, now is the perfect time to go get him.
I think things are trending that if they had to keep between the two of them, I think it's trending they want to keep Shohei just because he's younger. With the health about his back. If they were ever going to unload him and somebody was going to, I don't want to say overpay, but people would be more interested to get their hands on him now than they would, say, 3 or 4 years down the road when you might have to make a decision. It's interesting. Again, I don't think he gets traded, but it wouldn't shock me like it would have if somebody would have told me 2 weeks ago that it happened.
Okay. Do you think that Noah Syndergaard gets moved?
Yes, 100%.
100%.
100%.
They're big names to me. I'm looking at a lot of this stuff, and I think that the Phillies will have a very quiet trade deadline. I don't think this will be a huge trade deadline like most people are talking about. But John Heyman, MLB insider, says the Marlins are listening to everyone on their entire staff, not named Alcantara.
Yeah.
Alcantara. I've been saying it wrong forever. The Mets are almost done a deal for Contreras from the Cubs. That's like literally almost done.
That surprised me. He's been linked to them quite a bit.
Who do you think? So where do you think Juan Soto ends up?
That's a tough one. I realistically think there's only a few teams that can really afford to pay the price of what Washington's asking. 3 or 4 major league good players, and then you're pretty much top 2 or the top 2 or 3 out of your top 5 prospects in the farm system. San Diego can do it. The Cardinals can do it. I mean, I know the Dodgers can do it financially, and they'll probably figure out a way to get it done if they really want to get it done. I don't think they're in on it though. I really don't. I think it comes down to the Cardinals and the Padres, in my opinion. I would be shocked if he doesn't go to one of those 2 teams.
Cardinals, Mets.
I think the.
Good.
I was gonna say I think the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
I know you're about to get into it.
Mets, Padres, Yankees are the 4 teams that are in on Soto right now. Big teams that are in on Soto. Am I missing a big one? They're the 4 that I've heard all the rumors around. And now, I think the Yankees will settle with Benintendi. I think that New York is not going to allow Judge to... Because if you sign Soto, you're basically saying you're not signing Judge.
Correct.
I think that the Yankees will kind of take the high road there, go after Benintendi, and that be their acquisition. I think they need to add a starting pitcher. I think that's what the Yankees need to do more than anything. I think the Mets want him, but I think Washington will be very reluctant to trade him within the division. I think the Cardinals are the best bet. I think that San Diego has the pieces. I just don't think they'll pull it off. I think the Cardinals do trade him. And I think the middle of that lineup of Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Soto is going to be insane.
I mean, the Padres will be equally as good as they got him. I mean, you're going to go Tatis, Soto, Machado once Tatis is back. So, again, I would be shocked if it's not one of those 2 teams.
So Godfrey said the team also has to be willing to pay $500 million. I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either.
I think there's 2 sides to that. One, I think Juan Soto, by not signing that huge deal in Washington, didn't signal that it was due to money. He signaled that he didn't want to play for that organization.
Correct.
Which is why a lot of that arguments came out where they were doing that dirty stuff for not sending him to the All-Star game. I just think he wants to get out of that organization. I think part of the reason why he's struggling to play so much this year is he hates playing for a team that's getting their shit kicked in every day.
I think he's struggling for other reasons as well. I think he's doing uncharacteristic things. I mean, he's struggling in the field as well. I just don't think he's mentally checked in.
Correct.
Which isn't an excuse. So I think it's that, and we talked about it in our baseball preview show. They have nobody to protect him either, and people who don't think that matters, it matters. It's very rare that you're going to see a great standalone hitter that doesn't have anybody somewhat decent behind him. Josh Bell's having a great year. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you're never going to pitch to Juan Soto over Josh Bell. That's never going to happen. I think the other part of it is, again, kind of like what you said. I don't think he wants to be in Washington. They are also in the process of selling that team. So you have a new ownership group coming in. You have no idea what their, for lack of a better term, vision is for the team, or what their plan is for the next 3, 5, 10 years. That's a lot of unknown for a player who is going to, at some point in the next couple of years, sign the biggest contract of his life. It's going to be a long term. It's going to be for a lot of money. I think the other part of it that people aren't understanding, they just keep focusing on the $440 million part of the contract. It's over 14 years.
Correct. Juan
Soto is not a $29 million player a year by any metric. He's a $35 to $40 million player a year. That is what he is. So again, it's not, do I still think to some point it's crazy to have a guaranteed $440 million and walk away from it? It is. But he's 24. He'll probably get a $400 million deal, but he's going to get a Mike Trout level deal. It's going to be $400 million for 10 years. He's going to want between 35 and 40 a year, and that's what he deserves. That's what he is. So, I mean, people need to come off the 440 a little bit because, again, when you divide it by 14, thinking you're going to sign Juan Soto for $29 million a year is a little absurd.
Hey, listen, I don't disagree with that either. I really believe that I don't think it was the years. I don't think it was the money. I think it was the place. Yeah, no. I don't think he wants to play there. And that's why I feel like that most of the things that Juan Soto have come up. You put him in a place like baseball heaven, St. Louis, I don't think he has any problem signing that contract for $29 million a year. I really don't.
It'd be very interesting to see him get there and see how he, I don't want to say passing a torch per se, but they will take to him like they did with Albert Pujols. And obviously, I'm sure he's had discussions with Albert Pujols about how great it is to play there. Both fellow Dominicans, that is the best card that the Cardinals have right now. Is those two talking and him being comfortable with going there.
But see, the problem is Washington does not care where he wants to go. They're going to trade him to where he gets the best. They get the best overall offer.
And listen, that's part of the deal. I mean, that's they have to do right by themselves. They are going to be starting over, and you've now in the last 2 years or 3 years let Bryce Harper and at some point either this year or next year let Juan Soto walk out of town. You have to get something in place to rebuild that team. Like they are full rebuild. Like
they should be,
and that's fine. But what I'm saying is he can't be mad if he I'm sure he wants to either go to St. Louis or San Diego.
But he does not have to sign a long-term contract with them.
He does not.
So I think that Cottrell, what would you like to add to that?
I mean, going into a situation like that, though, if you're a team like a team that's not one of these top 4 teams that are going to be perennial contenders that, let's say you don't think you have a shot at re-signing somebody like Juan Soto long-term, or that's just not in your plans, why would you go out and trade your top prospects and basically, sell your franchise to get this caliber player? I think that's also going to play a big part into it as well. Washington has made no secret about it that, they offered him this big time contract and he said no, and now they're not doing right by him. So I think in turn, that means the other teams in the MLB also know, like, hey, this is one way or another, this is going to be some type of divorce. We'll give you a solid offer for it, but you're not going to have these bad teams that are going to be clamoring to give you all of their best prospects, because there's no shot that they're going to re-sign a guy like Juan Soto. I don't know if you mortgage your franchise for essentially a 2-year rental of Juan Soto, especially if you're not in a position to win now.
Okay, so let me give you a kind of counterpoint to that. How much would you mortgage for 2 years of Juan Soto and have the first crack to re-sign him? How much would you mortgage? Let's just say you're a fringe team that needs, let's just say you're a team like the Brewers that has pitching that just doesn't have the bats in their lineup. What would you give to be able to have 2 years of a legitimate World Series opportunity for Milwaukee? And if I'm Milwaukee, here's your pick of the litter. Take whatever you want.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't think Milwaukee is just your run-of-the-mill team, though. I think Milwaukee has a legit shot at being
the top 14 teams in baseball. The top 14 teams in baseball. 14 teams in baseball have a shot at winning the World Series this year. 14 teams that add Juan Soto have a way better chance of winning the World Series this year. To get 2 years of club control of Juan Soto and first crack at signing him, the
other part of that, though,
I don't need the reassurance.
Some of those teams, though, are teams like the Rays, that aren't going to take a crack at them because they're not willing to pay that kind of money. So
they can't afford
even still, you got a smaller.
Milwaukee almost falls in that category too. Milwaukee would be at that point saying, okay, we're willing to go all in here and do this, give up, elevate the payroll, and hopefully win a World Series either this year, next year, or the year after. And then after that, probably have to tear it down because Milwaukee cannot afford him long term.
Agreed.
So that's where that gets tough. But
would you mortgage your future for 3 cracks at a World Series with Juan Soto?
I would say
I'm Milwaukee, yes.
If I'm Milwaukee, yes. With that pitching staff, yes, I am. You hope at that point he just changes everything in that lineup and everybody else catches fire. Then yeah, I mean, again, if is it worth rebuilding in 3 or 4 years or not being able to keep Burns or somebody like that. But would you trade all that in for, a trophy and a parade? I mean, the answer is yes.
I agree. It's not just Juan Soto talk. I want to talk about the news about Mike Trout, and then we'll move on from free agency, and we'll give our final predictions of teams, like players that can make a splash. Mike Trout's conversation came out today about his back. He has a rare back condition. His return timetable is uncertain. I just giving you my 2 cents. I think that if I'm the Angels, I stop taking any calls from Mike Trout right now because I need to reevaluate the whole situation. If I go a little bit further and I really evaluate the situation, I'd give him away and give a prospect away to get him out, get rid of that contract. If that's the case and his back is that messed up and there's an issue with it, I don't know. That's a real serious issue.
It is, but it's something. Again, it's more of it's a lot of monitoring and something. It's more something. The concern is it's not going to go away. So it's not that it's going to be causing him pain all the time or something he's going to have to quote unquote play through. It's not just going to be something where you have surgery and it goes away and you don't have to ever worry about it again. So it's going to be something that could flare up at any time. He apparently is already swinging and like he apparently wants to come back this weekend and they're waiting to see what they want to do. You can't give him away. You can't give him away because if he gets back, or even stays healthy for the next 4 or 5 years and you give him away, you're not going to do it.
I don't know if I want to pay 8-9 years of $35 million, $40 million a year for a guy that might not play.
Somebody would still trade you somewhat close to what he's worth. You're not going to have to give him away to get rid of him. That's absurd.
Well, that's where me and you will disagree. I think that they're going to have to give him away.
I agree with your premise that I would probably hold off on the trade talks for now, just to see if we can get more information. I mean, a rare condition doesn't necessarily mean the worst, So if it's something that's not going to be a big issue going forward for him, and it's just something that he has to deal with, but the treatments for it are fine, I think I would be comfortable with that. I mean, I would ultimately, I guess, I would want to trade him, but I don't think you'd have to give him away if it's something that's known that it can be treatable and he can perform still at a high level.
Joseph Jeffers asks, is Mike Trout worth that money playing 100 games a season? And the answer is no.
No, but we don't know if he's going to play 100 games a season. I mean, that's the unknown. And to your point, it's you have to kind of see how he's going to be when he comes back in a week or two, and then how they are going forward. Again, it's probably something that's going to be worse as he gets older. But again, you'll have teams that are willing to take him for the next 4 or 5 years before it gets really bad. Don't act like any of these teams that are on the fringe put him in their lineup. They're not World Series contenders.
Oh, trust me, I just don't know if he's going to play.
Is it worth eating it on the back end for a World Series run in those next 4 or 5 years? Yeah, it is. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's
not the same because Juan Soto, you whatever the situation is, you do not have to sign him for 10 years. Mike Trout signed for 8 more years.
When he's a free agent, you're going to have to. Juan Soto's not signing a 4-year deal when he's a free agent.
I follow, but it's not the same thing. You don't have to sign Juan Soto.
No, I'm saying there'll be teams that are willing to do it.
I feel like that the Mike Trout situation, and I feel poorly and bad about everything that he's going through as far as injury wise. But the truth is, I wouldn't sign him for free. If he was
really
like, I wouldn't sign him for no trade. Like, I would give him nothing back. Like, if you were like, take Mike Trout's contract and you can get him for nothing, I wouldn't do it. Well, that's all you want.
Yeah, that's absurd.
That's absurd. And when he's not in Major League Baseball in 3 years and you're paying him for 8 years.
But what if he is?
2 more years.
That's crazy.
If he pays 2 more years, he's worth $300 million. It's $150 million a year.
You keep saying two, like nobody, like you're making it sound.
Championships, then yes.
He said 2.
Yeah.
If I won 2 championships, yes.
Just giving you my opinion. That's a lot of money to pay someone that has a back injury. It's not going to get any better.
That's okay. That's not accurate. It's something that will have to be monitored his whole career. Again, it's not something that's going to like just disappear. But like, there's not
Do you
like.
think Mike Trout will ever play 140 games in a season ever again?
Yes,
I do. I don't. Control? 140.
140.
I didn't say 162. I said 140. We can have a standing bet if he plays 140 games ever again in his career, you win something, and if he doesn't, I win something.
I'll say no.
I agree with you. Give me a big name that you think moves that we haven't talked about, or where they go. Where do you think Syndergaard goes? Something.
I think the Phillies are in on Syndergaard. I think he's going to be. I mean, I know he got mentioned in the Mets. I don't think he's going back to New York. So
no, not after the Scherzer thing.
No. So, one name that people are pretty adamant isn't going to move out of Boston, which I think I just don't know how you can not trade Xander. I think you realistically have to look at it the way they're playing. They're not making the playoffs. I don't know how you let him walk out of town for free. I don't. So, I have to think Boston moves him in the next week or so.
Okay. Where do you think he goes? Any idea?
No, because apparently, like people have called and they're kind of being standoffish, saying that we're really not trading him unless somebody like blows us away.
Give me a name, Control.
Shortstop. Let's see
where Xander goes.
No, give me a name that's moving.
Trey Mancini. I think he's going to the Mets. I think that's the deal that they make.
It would make sense. I know Baltimore's kind of hesitant to trade him, but I get it at the same time.
Let me ask you one more question. I'm sorry, I don't want to go too far into free agency. You're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, because we're Phillies fans here. You have a choice. You can trade the farm system, anything you have, players, Castellanos, whatever, and get a Juan Soto. You can trade a little bit less and get a Mike Trout, or you can go all in on Trey Turner this offseason when he's a free agent. What of those three options would you go after?
I'm going to eliminate one, not because I don't want to do it, because I just don't think it's realistic.
Soto?
Yes.
That's fine.
And
I don't think that's realistic either.
And I say it's not realistic because I don't think they can afford to give up what they're going to have to give up to get him.
Yep, I agree.
And then turn around to sign another $400 million plus on top of Castellanos, Harper,
Schwarber, JT. I get it.
Yeah, we're just not going to carry that. Would I love to see him here? Absolutely. I just don't think it's realistic at all.
Okay.
I don't think the Trout thing is either. Again, would I love to see him in center field next to Bryce? Yeah. I just don't. I think we all agree the asking price would probably be lower than it was, again, 2 weeks ago. I still think it's steep. And any trade involving him would have to involve at least Castellanos going back to clear that payroll. And I just think the bad timing of the whole thing with his bag, I just don't see it happening. So
talking about another $400 million payroll. Would you go all in on Trey Turner?
I don't think Trey Turner's going to get $400 million, number one. And that is also more of a position. Not that center field's not, but we have to figure out shortstop.
You don't think Bryson Stott could be the future there?
It could be.
I think it can.
But you
could also move Stott to second.
I don't know if they're bringing Segura back. I mean, there's a lot.
If you sign Trey Turner, you can tell Didi and Segura.
Didi's not coming back. Didi's contract's up at the end of the year. Joe Girardi's not here to scream to the heavens for me. Didi Gregorius is not on the Phillies after this season.
But that's my point.
So
Didi and Gene Segura, you can completely forget about them. You have to move on from Reese. You don't want to have any money paid to him, which you'll be thrilled about.
No, he's still got arbitration. So Reese is going to, unless they trade him, Reese is going to be on the team next year. That could be it after that point, but he's going to be on the Phillies next year.
Okay.
So that becomes your cat and mouse thing. Do you re-sign Gene and then just move Stott to short and let him grow in there, or do you move Stott to second, let Gene walk, and go after Trey Turner? I know what I would do.
After Trey Turner,
correct. But I don't think he's leaving LA, dude. I really don't. I think, and I hate to say it too. I think he's been out there. He's been healthier. I think another guy playing in the warm weather all year round. I think Soto kind of wants to do that too. And he's on a team now that can afford to probably re-sign him. Team that he loves and a team that's built to win for the next 5 or 6 years already. It's very tough. Am I picking up the phone and offering something very aggressive? I absolutely freaking out.
100%.
It is a huge
need leadoff hitter, shortstop. Yeah. We got to move on.
All right.
We got NFL linebackers to get into. Anybody have an honorable mention?
I'm not honorable mention. I have a tie for 10th.
I have a tie for 10th also.
All right.
So we'll start with Cottrell.
I got honorable mentions. My young guys, gotta give them some love. Second years this year. One of them, of course, is a Cleveland Brown, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Had to show him some love on the show. And then the other one is also in the AFC North, Logan Wilson of the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he was a big piece for the Bengals last year. And I think he's going to be a lot better this upcoming year. So I think he's a guy who may sneak into potentially a top 10 list next year.
So your number 10?
My number 10 is, one more time, another linebacker in the AFC North Division. It is Pittsburgh Steelers' newly acquired Myles Jack. I think he's going to go into that system and he's going to have a lot of success because Pittsburgh does a really good job at breeding their linebackers, and him basically having no tread on his tires the past 2 seasons. I think he's going to come in fresh and be a monster for that Pittsburgh Steelers team.
I got tied for 10th. I have a Mr. Jordan Brooks from Seattle. I think he took a huge step last year, playing next to Bobby Wagner. I think he learned a lot. I think Bobby actually made the game a little simpler for him, just to use his athleticism, use his instincts, and play. Bobby Wagner has now since moved on. I'm sure we'll all be talking about him shortly. But I think Jordan Brooks, it's kind of his defense now. It's going to be him up the middle with Jamal Adams behind him. So I'm very curious to see how he goes. Again, I think he takes another step. I think he becomes solidifies himself as a top 10 linebacker in the league. And I have him tied with Eric Kendrick from Minnesota. Very good linebacker, very good coverage linebacker. I don't want to say struggles a tad against the run, but he's definitely stronger against the pass. Seen him higher up on some people's lists. Not that I think he's a bad linebacker. Obviously, I think he's top 10. I think he's very good. I just think a lot of these guys in front of him that I have are going to have slightly better years than he did. That he's going to.
All right, so Cottrell, I talked to him earlier, and I struggle with this linebacker list more than any list. Like, I've literally, and I'm talking to a guy that probably watches more NFL football than 99.9% of people in the planet. I watch so much football, and I just go back and forth with these projections on where I think they're going to be. I thought it was very fitting that number 10 would be a tie, and they'd both be players from the same team. I have Levante David and Devin White tied for number 10. I think they're both stud linebackers. Levante is more of a leader. Devin is way more athletic, more versatile. I think that Levante David is the leader on that defense. And it reminds me a ton of when Luke Kuechly had, pardon me, I forget the guy's name at this point, but he had a line. Thompson? No, before that. But it reminds me of that type of system. They can go sideline to sideline. Levante's the brains. Devin White's the go get him and just knock him down. The speed. But they're my number 10. My number 9, I will get flack for this. That's fine. I'm a little bit of a Saints hater, and that's okay. My number 9 is Demario Davis from the New Orleans Saints. Just an older linebacker. Not that good. Saints stink. I'm kidding. He's a good linebacker. There's just 8 linebackers on my list that I feel like are better linebackers.
Number 9 for me, I have Tremaine Edwards from Buffalo. Again, I think a guy still on the rise, young, very athletic, struggles a little bit in pass coverage, good against the run, very instinctual. I think he needs to clean some stuff up, though. He takes bad angles sometimes, gets away with it because of how quick he is. He runs 4.5 40. But again, it's a guy that, like, I think I read one thing on him today, and it kind of summed it up perfectly, I think, to a lot of people and Buffalo's fans. I think it's so evident that he has such a higher ceiling than what he's playing to right now, and he can keep going. I think he just needs to clean some things up, and I think he can be higher on the list next year. But again, it's a kid that's on the rise. He's still young, and he's very good. I mean, we're talking about number 9. There's just 8 guys that I think are slightly better than him, or maybe more solid all around than he is.
Fair. Control. Give me your 9 and 8.
Number 9 is a guy that you just talked about, Gene, and Devin White's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think last season, I know I had him higher on our list. We all did. But I think that last year kind of showed me that he's not ready to take that leap. But with that said, he's still a phenomenal linebacker. I just think that the 8 guys I had ahead of him have shown me more, or I think they will show me more with either what system they're in or it just being they're at the peak of their careers right now. My number 8 is a guy that Shally already mentioned, and that's Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks is a great linebacker with the Minnesota Vikings. I think part of the reason why I have him lower on this list is that he's on a defense right now that really isn't that good. I think he's going to have to do more on a team that's, like I said, not that good. So essentially that's going to make his job harder. And I think the other guys ahead of him are in better situations. That's going to make their job easier, and they're going to have more opportunities to make more plays.
My number 8 is the guy that Gene just talked about, Demario Davis, New Orleans. I don't really have a bad thing to say about him other than he's getting a little bit older, lost maybe half a step. I think he's a great linebacker again. The respect I have for him, he's going to be the anchor again of a very, very good defense. He's just getting a little bit older. And that's, again, not a knock on anybody, but you have a bunch of young guys at the position that we're already talking about that are just phenomenal linebackers. So I still want to give him his respect. I still think he's a great linebacker. Very good player, very, very smart player. So I have number 8.
My number 8, and I got to credit Control on this one because I really just didn't have him on my radar for a while. And we talked, and I literally did about an hour and a half worth of research on where I wanted to put him, is Miles Jack. Miles Jack was stuck in the hellhole they call Jacksonville, and now he's going to Linebacker University in Pittsburgh. That team, that defense breeds linebackers, and Miles Jack is going to be playing with some elite defensive players. I think that with Minka, TJ Watt, you have a team full of stud players that can complement what Miles Jack does well. He'll be in a good system, and I think we'll all see the talent at Miles Jack that we know he is. He's my number 8. My number 7 is the coverage specialist, Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks is so hard to rank, and I probably like your guys' ranking of him better than mine. I was talking to Shally about this on the way up, and I think that I don't love him. I don't, but he's always there. He's one of the best pass covering linebackers in today's passing NFL. He breaks up a ton of passes, and he just seems to have a knack for the ball. I'm not in love with the guy. He's much higher on most lists than we have them. It's a projections list, and I think that Minnesota is not going to be that great of a football team this year, in my opinion. So for number 7, I have Eric Kendricks.
I think he also gets a lot of credit for looking so good on a terrible defense, usually. I do think that's part of it. I think he just stands out and he plays well. Number 7 for me is going to kind of be in the same boat as number 8. I just don't think he's going to have quite the fall off this year, maybe, that Demario Davis did, but it's a guy that, we've already heard his name tonight, Levante David from Tampa Bay. He is the guy. He's the captain. He's the heart and soul of that team. He's still a great linebacker. He's super smart, reads the ball very, very, very well, very instinctual. Again, Father Time is what it is, though. It's, Father Time's undefeated. So I still think he's an elite. I think he's an elite linebacker. I just have a couple guys ahead of him I think are younger, that are better, that are just more stud-like, I guess you could say. But by no means a slam or anything on him. That's why I still have him on my list, and I have him number 7.
Control?
My number 7 was an All-Pro in 2021. That is Devondre Campbell of the Green Bay Packers. I think Devondre Campbell is a great linebacker, but in today's game, I will say you just value those inside linebackers a little bit more, and that's no slight to Devondre Campbell. But that's just the reason why he wasn't higher up on my list. But Devondre Campbell is special, and he's a superstar for that Green Bay Packers team. My number 6 is a guy who I think is ready to take the next step, and that's Roquan Smith of the Chicago Bears. I think his job is going to get a little bit harder this year with Khalil Mack being gone, but I do think that he's still going to have a phenomenal year. You know, when you have talent like that, speed like that, and you can read your keys, you're going to be a phenomenal linebacker. So I fully expect him to be one of my top 5 linebackers going into this season, going into next season. But right now, he slides in right under at number 6.
Number 6 is where this is. You know, I kind of agree with Gene. I don't want to say 7 through 10 was easy, but from 6 up, this started to get really, you know, other than 1 and 2, this is the part of the list where it started to get tough for me. You know, we always say this is a projection list, not a career achievement list. I've talked about this dude numerous times. We all have. The dude's a legend. I love him. I still think he's a great linebacker. I think he's gonna have a great year on his new team. I just don't know if he has a better year than the 5 guys I have ahead of him, and that's why I have him where I have him. Talking about Bobby Wagner, middle linebacker for Seattle forever, heart and soul, the Legion of Boom. Now moving on to the Rams, another great defense. I think that's probably going to prolong his career another year or 2 longer than it would have been in Seattle. He's going to be asked to do a little bit less there. I think he's going to excel there, especially with the Rams' defensive line in front of him. I love him. I don't like putting him at 6. I couldn't realistically convince myself to put him above anybody else.
Bobby Wagner's a freak of nature. He's been a freak of nature throughout his entire career. He's who I have as number 6 also. I have Bobby Wagner dropping down out of what I had last year as number 1. Bobby Wagner's a stud, right? I just think that going from a defensive system that was centered and circled around him, going into another system where there is a just totally new system to learn. He's not the best player. He's not the second best player on their defense. He's their 3rd, maybe 4th best player on their defense. Probably 3rd. Shouldn't even add 4th. But my point being is he's not going to be asked to do the things he did in Seattle. 170 tackles is nothing to sneeze at. Career high in tackles last year. But with that being said, I think that going into a whole new situation, new defense, new scheme, I don't think that he has the production that I get in the top 5 guys. My number 5 is all pro. Inside linebacker, Devondre Campbell. He has, they're playing a 3-4 system. They drafted a 1st-round linebacker, who I'm not a huge fan of, from Georgia. I think they missed out. They could have got a better one. But they got Quay Walker from Georgia to play right next to him. They also, that Packers team has Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith. They're loaded at the linebacker position. They also have Kenny Clark, who's every good linebacker needs a really good nose tackle, a big defensive tackle to eat up blocks so they can make tackles in the hole. I think all that works to the benefit of Devondre Campbell. And I'll take Devondre Campbell as my number 5.
My number 5 is another guy from Tampa we just talked about, Devin White. Cottrell hit us a little on the head. I just have a different outlook for him this year than I guess Cottrell did. I think he had a little bit of a down year for what we were expecting him to take another step forward last year. I also think a lot of that had to do with just a lot of stuff going on in Tampa Bay. He was a little banged up in the middle of the year. He played through it. I think he gets back to doing what he does best, pursuing, covering, chasing people down, making athletic plays, rushing the passer now and then. I think he takes a step back forward and realizes more of the potential that we thought he was going to do going into last year. So I have Devin White number 5 for me.
My number 5 is a guy that you both have already mentioned. The trend for me here is that if you're playing on a better defense and in a better scheme, I typically tend to think you're going to have a better season just because your job's going to be a lot easier. And for me, that number 5 is Demario Davis. With that Saints defense being as good as I think they will be, I think Demario Davis' job gets a whole lot easier. And I said it last year, I'll say it again this year. He is the leader of that defense. You know, that defense goes basically exactly wherever Demario Davis tells them to go. So I think he's going to have another phenomenal year, and I think that Saints defense is going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. My number 4 is Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers. This is a guy going into last season I thought had the potential to be number 1 on this list. It just so happens that the 3 guys ahead of him I just think are going to have ultimately better years. But that's no slight to Fred Warner. He's going to he's going to still be playing with the loaded San Francisco 49ers team with guys like Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead in front of him to make his job a whole lot easier. But I think Fred Warner just falls short of the other three guys that I have ahead of him.
Number 4 for me, I have a guy that Gene just mentioned, Roquan Smith, Chicago. Dude is young, just getting better. He's really just starting to come into his own. He is now going to absolutely be the focal point in the center, the leader of that defense. Khalil Mack is out of town. They are really going to rebuild that defense around him. They have him just going into his prime. Dude is athletic, very smart. I love everything about his game. If the 3 guys I had in front of him weren't absolute studs, he'd be even higher on this list.
Okay, so I didn't mention him yet. Cottrell did. And the reason I say that is because my number 4 is Roquan Smith. I have Roquan Smith here. It's very rare if you literally drew up the prototype of what a linebacker could be: speed, strength, understanding of a defense, reading a play. Roquan Smith hits all of that. Roquan Smith is literally an ideal linebacker. Kid's a stud. I hate that he plays in Chicago. I wish that Chicago was a better overall team so you can see a little bit more. I think their franchise is awful as a whole. They finally did something good and got Justin Fields, and then they didn't protect him or give him any weapons. I just don't understand how much an organization screw up. They trade for Khalil Mack, they sign him to a deal, and then they trade him out. Akeem Hicks is gone. Roquan Smith is literally the staple of that defense. And for some reason, I just feel like that they'll still be a very good defense because you have that type of stud middle linebacker in Roquan Smith. My number 3 is Fred Warner. I actually thought Fred Warner would be higher up on this list this year too, Cottrell. I agree with you. Fred Warner had a good season, not a great season last year. I still think he's one of the top 3 linebackers in football. His instincts are there. He's very quick to the ball. Absolute tackler. Very rarely misses a tackle. Guy's next level. But the 2 guys ahead of him are the best 2 linebackers in football. So that's my number 3.
Number 3, I have Fred Warner as well. Kind of echo what both of you guys have already said. I don't think he really regressed per se, but I don't think he continued to ascend. He could easily be number 1 on this list if the 2 guys in front of him weren't absolute freaks. Very, very strong against the run. To Gene's point, he's a great tackler, great open field tackler, fast, physical, very good at reading defenses, very quick to the ball. I think he has a little bit of a bounce back year. Not that he had a bad year last year, but I think he has a better year this year than he did last year. So I have him number 3.
Okay, Charlie, give me your 3
is a guy.
That's hard.
A guy that you guys have both already mentioned, and that's Bobby Wagner. Gene, you mentioned that he had 170 tackles last season, and that was a career high for him. And while I do agree, the Seattle system was tailored to him, I disagree in the sense that I don't think he's ready to fall off that cliff yet. And I know that's not the exact words that you use, but I think him going to that Rams system benefits him. Just like Shally said, I think it will add more years onto his career. And I also think that Aaron Donald and company is just going to make his job so much easier. It's going to be easier for Bobby Wagner to read keys because the holes are going to be wide open because Aaron Donald's going to open them for him. So I think he's going to go to LA and be a seamless fit for him and have another phenomenal year. My number 2 is going to be a guy who was, again, a guy who I thought was going to potentially be number 1 on this list this year. That is Shaquille Leonard, formerly known as Darius Leonard of the Indianapolis Colts. I think he has an all-pro season waiting for him. And Madden keeps disrespecting his rating because he's only a 90 going into this year. So I think he has something to prove. And going into next year, we'll be talking about him as a top-rated linebacker in football. So I got Shaquille Leonard at 2.
Number 2 for me, I have Micah Parsons from Dallas. Dude literally came into the league last year and just took it by storm. Went to a system that fits all his strengths. He had 11 some sacks, couple forced fumbles, 1 rookie of the year going away. And I mean, he's young. I mean, he's just getting started. I think that's the scary part. We're going to see him twice a year for who knows how the hell long. But the kid's a freak. Does everything well. I think they're going to continue to work on him with their pass coverage. They don't require him to do it a lot per se in that scheme. They simplified a lot of things for him last year, just let him go forward a lot because, being a rookie and he was having such an impact already. But they're just scratching the surface with him. The kid's a hard worker. He's a great kid. He's just going to get better and better. It's going to be very hard to keep him off the number one spot in this list for a lot of years to come. So the guy in front of him, I just think is a little bit better all-around linebacker at this point right now. So I'm going with Micah Parsons, number 2.
Shaquille Leonard's my number 2. He's one of the best all-around linebackers in football. He does everything well. He defends the pass, defends the run. He's a leader on defense. He should probably be number 1. If there wasn't an absolute freak of nature in Dallas with Micah Parsons, who is my number 1, I would have him number 1. You want to talk about a guy who walked into the NFL, rookie year, and almost won Defensive Player of the Year? Micah Parsons does everything. I think this will be the last year we have him on the linebacker list, though. I don't think he'll be on it next year. I think they're going to move him exclusively to the edge, and he'll be an edge rusher, and he'll be the best one in football.
He's gonna be TJ, they're going to turn him into TJ Watt. That's exactly what they're going to
Edge rushers don't run 4.3 40s. They just don't. And to be as strong, big, athletic, and as smart as Micah Parsons is, it's absolutely a cheat code. So my number 2 is Shaquille Leonard, formerly known as Darius. And my number 1 is Micah Parsons, who I think is a generational talent.
Number 1, I have Shaquille Leonard. I think we all just have the same 1, 2, just reversed. I have him up there, like Gene said, he's not only the leader of the defense, he's the leader of that football team. He's the leader of that franchise. He is the guy in Indianapolis. Great, crazy athlete. Micah's probably a slightly better athlete, but I think at this point in their careers, and again, I think it's probably only a year or 2 away from Micah being number 1, and that's probably just going to be the end of it for a while. But I think Leonard is still a better all-around linebacker at this point in his career. He's definitely better against the pass than Micah is. And on top of that, he's a turnover machine.
Finds the ball.
Just finds it. Somehow makes guys put on the ground. His punches of the ball are just insane if you ever watch his highlight clip. So number 1 for me by a very slim margin this year was Leonard.
And then my number 1 is the same number 1 that Gene had, and that's Micah Parsons. The only thing that I will add to what you said, Gene, is that I don't think that Dallas will ever officially move him just to edge, because I had to go back and watch, so many of his game clips, and he's such a great blitzer, like not even from the edge, but just coming up the middle, blowing up a running back. Like, he's smart. His timing's great. I absolutely love what Micah Parsons does. He's going to be a great piece for that underwhelming Dallas Cowboys team. But Micah Parsons, I think, is the best linebacker in football, and we're going to see that for many years to come.
You know what it reminds me of? And it's not even the person that plays this position. He reminds me of Troy Polamalu. It sounds really stupid, I know. But like the way Troy used to, the instincts and the way Troy used to attack the line and used to attack the quarterback. Like, I remember watching a game where Troy Polamalu timed the snap so well they jumped over the offensive lineman. Like, I feel like that's what you're looking at with Micah Parsons going forward. And I hate saying that because he's a Cowboy.
The crazy thing about it too is that I think, going into last season, I fully expected Micah Parsons to be a great player. Obviously, I didn't think he was going to be, all-pro first team kind of guy, but this is the same kind of player that I thought Isaiah Simmons was going to be, and it just hasn't panned out. So for Micah Parsons to come in and do that, especially right away, it's unbelievable.
Good try. I need you out of my head. If you knew how high I was on Isaiah Simmons when he came out, I loved him.
I think he's going to be all right, though.
Oh, yeah, no, of course.
He's really starting. I mean,
it's not going to be Micah.
No,
I'm wondering why his development's been slow.
Gene kind of hit it. Kind of, I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not looking at his playbook or watching a film. Who the hell knows?
And I wonder why that happens.
Because I know. God forbid NFL players away from the facility do what they're supposed to do. Like the other 99% of the guys in the league figure out how to do it somehow. Not Kyler.
Just wondering.
Not Kyler.
Just wondering.
Too much Madden, not enough studying.
By the way, that is absolutely ridiculous cause. We'll get into that later.
That's hilarious.
Guys, next we've got edge rushers. I think that list is going to be stacked too. Can we put Mike on both?
No.
Kidding. But we got to get into college football. We're running up against the clock a little bit. Linebackers List was fun. College football. Cottrell, why don't you do me a favor and preview the ACC?
So, I mean, for everybody who watched college football last year, or even if you didn't, the ACC was down last year. Typically, they are down. Normally Clemson is your powerhouse, and it's just who can Clemson beat up on? Can they run the table and make it to the college football playoff? This year, I don't think it's going to be as down. I think that the conference isn't going to be as respected because you're going to have 3 teams at the top of it, and the rest of them, you're going to have 4 teams at the top of it, but the rest of the conference is going to be pretty bad, but they're going to beat up on each other. And what, you got just two good teams?
That's it.
I think 4 have, I'll say this, I think 4 have a shot to win the conference. So
I think 2 have a shot to win a conference, but I think there's 4 that can make noise. So I mean, obviously Cottrell's gonna go first, but
yeah, Cottrell, continue.
What else?
Tell us the conference, bro.
What
are you looking for? Who's going to win a conference? Who's going to be in a championship? Who's a dark horse to look out for? Act like you did some prep. Just kidding.
My championship winners is going to be the NC State Wolfpack over the Miami Hurricanes in the championship game, and I think Devin Leary has an outside shot to be invited to the Heisman ceremony at the end of the season. I don't think he wins it, and I don't think he's going to be, one of the favorites for it. But I think he could potentially be that 4th guy for this storybook, team. NC State hasn't won a conference championship since 1979, and I think Devin Leary and that Wolfpack team can come in and show exactly what they can do in that conference. They beat Clemson last year. They had a few losses. They lost by, I think, 1 point to Miami last year. And then they had an early season loss to Mississippi State, but that was Devin Leary's 2nd game of the season. So I think he's going to come in ready. Their schedule is pretty soft as long as they make it through their conference. And I think if they beat Clemson, there's a shot that they run the table and they might sneak into the college football playoff if they run the table. So NC State Wolfpack is the team to look out for me.
This is what you pay the admission for. This is what you pay the admission for. You get guys. He just literally told you the last time NC State won a ACC title was 1979. I didn't know that. This is why you pay the man. Pay the man his money. Shally.
I got Clemson winning the Atlantic Division, and I have Miami winning the Coastal Division. But to double down on what Cottrell said, I think North Carolina State's only loss this year is Clemson. I think North Carolina State plays in a New Year's 6 Day Bowl. He's spot on about on Devin Leary. And on top of all that, they returned 3 starting offensive linemen, and 82% of all their production last year on offense are back this year. That offense is going to be stacked. They also returned 8 starters on defense. That team is going to be very, very good. To Cottrell's point, a lot of it's coming back. A lot of the teams coming back to beat Clemson last year. That moment is not going to be too big for them this year. That's a tough game. Clemson's going to have to be rolling. That is not a game where in the past they're just going to go in there and hang 49 on North Carolina State, win 49-14, and it's over to halftime. It's not going to be that type of game this year. This is the best team North Carolina State's had in a long, long time. I think Miami is going to be the class of the Coastal. I think Mario Cristobal, you're already starting to see a little bit of the culture change down there, a little bit more of an edge to that team, but it's a controlled edge. There's discipline there. They have Josh Gaddis, who was at Michigan last year, as their OC now, and they have another. We were talking about Devin Leary's being a long shot Heisman. They have Tyler Van Dyke, who probably a little bit of a longer shot, but a very good and up-and-coming quarterback. He caught fire when they gave him the reins last year. The second half of the year, he's going to be the starter this year. They're going to put him in good positions to win. It's one thing that Gaddis is very good at doing.
Did you watch the Miami Pitt game last year?
Yeah,
that was an incredible football game. Tyler Van Dyke versus Kenny Pickett, and Cottrell? You remember? Cottrell probably knows the final score. What was the final score of it?
I don't. I remember it was high scoring though. Definitely
like
40s.
50.
I think it was
it was 50s.
Yeah, it was
40. No, it was like 40s.
I want to get it. Miami versus Pitt. I'll get it. But this is what you pay to play some admission for. These two college nerds have like 84% of their defenses back. You're not getting that from me, brother. I'm not. It's not happening. But it's okay.
And the other team, I mean, we saw them last year. They had a good year. I don't know how strong Wake Forest ends up being. They do have Sam Hartman back. A.T. Perry's a great wide receiver to keep your eye on. Probably going to be a second or third round guy next year. Most of their offense is back. They're going to put up points. Their defense was abysmal last year. It might not be any better this year. So Wake Forest is a team that maybe wins a game this year that they're not supposed to. Again, I do think Clemson, with having that front seven they're going to have on defense, is going to carry that team. DJ, I think we all agree. I know me and Gene do. Trell probably does as well. DJ is going to have to start the year very strong at Clemson, because if he doesn't, I think he's a very short leash. Short leash too. I like leases. Leases work too. Clemson is very
do, you know.
Yeah. And Clemson is very high on Cade Klubnik, so he's going to be right behind DJ all through practice. He's going to be the backup. If he struggles at all in those first 3 games, I don't know, especially with the year they had last year, which was perceived a down year for Dabo. I don't know how long he waits to make that switch, because I don't think he wants to waste this team this year with that defense, because I think his team has a very good chance of making the college football playoff. So that's all I got for the ACC.
Well, I do not have NC State anywhere near my final. My final is Mario Cristobal and the U, Tyler Van Dyke. By the way, it was 38-34. It just felt like it was a higher score game because they scored 3 total points in the fourth quarter. It was like 38-31 going into the fourth. We maybe thought it was going to be in the 50s. I remember watching that game with Cottrell at Ben Salem. Literally watching that game. Last year I told you how ridiculous Georgia's defense was going to be. This year, I'm going to tell you how ridiculous Clemson's defense is going to be. They will be a top 3 defense in the country. They might be the best defense in college football, statistically. I don't think they'll have the most first-rounders. I think that'll go to Alabama or an A&M or a team of that stature, or Georgia. But they play in the ACC. So I think they're going to see a little bit less competition than is in the SEC. It's fair. And I think Clemson's defense is going to be insanity this year. Insanity. They're returning so many starters, including All-American candidates Brian Breesy, Tyler Davis, and Miles Murphy. Xavier Thomas, 2-time third-team All-ACC, is also returning for one final season. So that's my notes on me being a college nerd, but that's literally all you're getting from me. Tyler Van Dyke, I think, is going to have a great season. I think Mario Cristobal is a very good coach. I think that Clemson versus Miami, with Clemson being the winner, and Clemson having serious consideration for the college football playoff.
So you don't think they get in?
I don't know yet. When we get to our college football playoff show, I will talk about that.
Okay.
I will say this. I think the winner of that NC State Clemson game is the one that potentially makes it to the college football final, because I truly don't think either one of those teams lose another game outside of that one. So I think agree. The winner of that game, obviously they're going to go on to the college, they're going to go on to their conference title game. And then at that point, if you win that, then I don't think the committee, they would have a strong case on their hands if they leave out a 12-0 ACC champion. So it'll be interesting.
You've seen what Georgia did with just a mid-tier B- quarterback, C+ quarterback. I think DJ Ukulele this year could be better than what either quarterback gave you from Georgia last year.
Clemson has that game at home too.
I think Clemson is defensively is the class of college football right now.
They have to go to Florida State, which I don't really think is a hiccup. Well, they have to go to Notre Dame later in the year. That could be interesting.
That'll be a defensive struggle. They might win that game 6-3.
Last time they went there, they lost. I mean, obviously Trevor didn't play, but
DJ did.
DJ did. He played well. I mean, again, it's
best game he ever played in his career.
Listen, facts actually. I mean, we'll see where Notre Dame is. Obviously, when they start the year against Cottrell's boys up in the shoe, but they don't play them until November 5th. So I mean, that team's gonna be a lot better by the time Clemson goes out there. But You know, I think it sets up well for them.
I don't want
to
set this up, but I left one team out specifically for what I think would be the best defense in college football this year, and you just brought them up, and it's not Notre Dame, Ohio State.
You've already talked about this.
I don't want to get too far into it yet.
All right.
But I have Clemson over the U.
So do I.
All right, so let's move on.
And I got NC State over the U.
We already heard that crap, that NC State crap.
It's the first bold prediction of the year,
NC State.
Yeah, first.
I do like that.
If he's right, then it'll just be College Control doing it again.
True. Just a bold prediction. I like it, though. First conference, right out of the gate.
All right, guys. So we got a Mount Rushmore to get into. We got Houston, the 8 H-Town versus Phoenix. Someone tag. Let me tag Paul. I want Paul's thought process on this. Love my man Paul Gravitt. Hope he's in the chat. If he's not, I'm tagging him right now. All right, but Houston. I'm going to read off Mount Rushmore for Houston. Nolan Ryan, one of the best pitchers in baseball history, if not the best pitcher in the history of baseball. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, top 10 NBA player of all time. If not 10, he's 11. He's right there.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt, multiple time defensive player of the year. Top 10, top 15 defensive player of all time. Top 5 defensive lineman of all time. Earl Campbell, 2,000 yards rushing. That's Eric Dickerson. I'm lying. Earl Campbell, stud running back for the Houston Oilers. That's Houston. Would you like to introduce Phoenix, Cottrell?
Absolutely. I have no. I know what you did there. That's funny.
Funny,
I have
actually.
no problem introducing our Phoenix squad. So we have the legend, the big unit, Randy Johnson.
Killed a bird.
We also have the GOAT, WNBA, Diana Taurasi. We have one of the best receivers of all time, hardly ever drops any passes, in Larry Fitzgerald. And we got the 2-time MVP, the greatest Canadian basketball player ever, Steve Nash.
Yeah, coach.
So Joseph Jeffers, he said Warren Moon.
Yeah.
Warren Moon and Earl Campbell were our final 2 football candidates. We went with Earl Campbell. I don't think you can go wrong with those 2. Warren Moon's a stud.
You can't. Earl Campbell's just a better player.
Agreed. So let's compare them, shall we? Shai, I'm going to ask you first because we just introduced them. First thought. Nolan Ryan, hold on. Nolan Ryan versus Randy Johnson. Who you going with?
Randy Johnson.
You agree, Cottrell?
Randy Johnson's my favorite baseball player ever. So
that's a fun fact.
I'm going to go with Nolan Ryan. He's the better player. Hakeem Olajuwon or Diana Taurasi. I'm not saying they're going against each other. We're talking about greatness
why are we
here.
putting them against each other?
Well, because
she's got to go against somebody.
Yeah, it's basketball. It's fun.
Yeah, but last week we didn't pair them against each other. We just debated it as a whole.
Well, I mean, because Philadelphia was so much better than Cleveland.
Cottrell is maneuvering here, trying to.
Oh, okay, it's fine.
I'm not maneuvering anything.
It's Hakeem. I know Kevin the Troll probably is saying this, but
we could put Hakeem against Steve Nash. Do you think that would be a little easier for you? Hakeem Olajuwon versus Steve Nash.
The answer is Hakeem, no matter what.
He's got championships.
We'll do Nash.
Like you said, worst case, he's the 12th best player to ever play.
Larry Fitz versus J.J. Watt. I like Larry Fitzgerald more.
You don't like J.J. Watt?
I love J.J. Watt. I just like Fitzgerald.
The dude just let you pay for some stranger's funeral.
I know. J.J. Watt's a great human being.
Probably the best human being in the NFL.
The
dude does literally nothing wrong.
Larry Fitz had more tackles than drop passes in his whole career.
Fair.
But I'll still go as greater player. I'm going J.J. Watt.
God, I
Larry
love
Fitz though.
Fitzgerald
Like
too.
he was the guy who was quiet, just brought his lunch pail to work, went to work, moved in silence, and he was on the cover of Madden.
That's literally JJ too, though. This sucks. Because you can't not love both of them. If you're just a fan of football, you like both of them. I'm going to go JJ. I'm just gonna stick with my gut and go JJ. I'm going with JJ because his peak dominance was better than Fitz's was.
And then we go Earl Campbell versus Diana Taurasi.
All right.
I think Taurasi would outshoot him.
Outshoot him. I think Campbell might just dunk on her all the time, though.
Brandon said Cleveland got bulldozed last week and they'd still beat Phoenix. That would be it doesn't matter. We're not in the losers bracket. Because Phoenix is losing
this. This isn't double elimination. It's tough because they have LeBron, and LeBron's going to trump anything you put on that Phoenix list.
And Jim Brown.
And
Jim Brown would trump Earl Campbell or J.J. Watt or Larry Fitz.
Brown, Earl's sort of close. I mean, I would still pick Jim Brown. Don't get me wrong, but
Jim Brown's better than all of them.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Second greatest running back ever.
Cleveland went
maybe third. Very close. Second or third. Walter Payton, Jim Brown. I still have Barry Sanders one, but that's me.
I was saying, can Barry Sanders talk or no?
No, I haven't won.
Okay. Great.
But this matchup I give to Houston.
I think it's Houston.
Control?
Closer than I thought it was going to be, though. If I'm being honest,
this matchup I think is tough. I think you got some true goats on the side of Phoenix.
I get it.
But,
and Diana Taurasi, like, just to be clear, we struggle because there's a lot of people in Phoenix that you can use. But with that being said, can we use Wayne Gretzky in Phoenix? I'm kidding. But my point being is
failed owner.
My point being is Phoenix has a really good overall team, but Houston is just. I think Nolan Ryan's the best pitcher ever in baseball. That's me. I think for a career, I take Nolan Ryan over Randy Johnson. Maybe for a series, Brandon Fitzer said that exact time. As soon as he said it, I'm like, he said Randy Johnson for a series, Nolan Ryan for a career.
Your big number there is going to be strikeouts, and Nolan Ryan's one. Obviously, I think Randy's two. If you're going wins, losses, and all that kinds of stuff like awards, and it's Randy for me. And then you throw in on top of that, he's left-handed. In a one-game series, give me Randy Johnson.
Really? Awards? Yeah. I don't know if you're right about that.
Dude, Randy, when he was like 35, went to Arizona and won 4 straight Cy Young Awards.
I'm not like
tallest player in MLB history.
Well, that's cute. That's not like
killed a bird, bro.
Wins and losses, I think you're going to win that one.
Well, yeah, dude. Nolan Ryan for his career is only like 45 games above 500. He only has almost 300 losses.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
32 games over 500.
There you go.
3.19 ERA for a career is insane for as long as his career was. You have to talk about a 600 game career with 3.12 ERA.
The dude was like 45 in Texas and still chucking 95 for 8 innings a night.
By the way, Randy Johnson is the runner-up in strikeouts. He's 840 behind.
Yeah.
Which is a huge number. But whatever. It's a great argument to talk about who's better between those two. I think they're right there. Randy Johnson could be 2, 3, 4. I think Nolan Ryan's 1. All right. So you're going to H-Town also, Cottrell?
I am. Very slim margin, but
I'll just say, like, before we start talking about this, I thought, like, Houston was going to win easily, and then when we actually started breaking down, it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Right?
Yeah.
These scope brackets
Steve
are
Nash,
awesome.
2 MVPs. That's
what gave H-Town.
Phoenix is
That's what gave H-Town the win right there. It did. I'm serious. If they had a better player than Steve Nash to put on that list, they might have a shot.
Maybe Chris Paul should try to win something then.
Nah, Chris Paul's not there long enough. All right, so
where are we putting Chris Paul if we have to?
Chris Paul's not on any
I don't think he's on any.
He's not, I guess.
I don't think Nash should be really either, but Phoenix has such little. You know what I mean?
Hey, you get 2 MVP awards, you're in the discussion.
I get it.
Passive aggressive shots.
I will say this, just to be clear. Those have to be the 2 most fraudulent MVPs in the history of the NBA.
Oh, here we go.
It's the truth. They're Kobe's MVPs.
What's next?
We got UFC.
All right.
H-Town. I'm just kidding. All right.
We got to do a good one next week.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. I mean, like, we got to pull like one of the heavy hitters next week.
We do Boston next week.
All right. Who are we sacrificing up against?
Chicago.
Bro, that can't be a first round matchup.
No.
No, dude. Stop. That's
Somebody on the
ridiculous.
chopping block.
Yeah,
I think we should eliminate all the really good teams.
Like,
before
let's
they play
do
Philly.
Boston, like Sacramento next week or
Whoa.
something. I'm just kidding. Sacramento's not getting a Rushmore.
Dallas.
We'll talk about it. Dallas.
Ooh.
I would love to do that.
All right, Boston, Dallas.
Done.
Shit, Cottrell.
Y'all can't wait
I
to
don't
send
mind
Dallas
sacrificing Dallas.
Yeah, fuck them.
All right, so UFC fights this weekend. Very uneventful card.
Right?
I'm not like thrilled with this card.
No, because I mean the only thing I'm intrigued on, I'm not even intrigued about the Nunez fight because I'm assuming we're all going to agree how that's going to end.
Yep, Juliana, right?
I'm more intrigued. Yeah, and still, I'm more intrigued about the Moreno fight.
I'm not. Moreno's going to beat him.
I think it's a better fight. Is my point.
It is.
My point.
I don't think this card is that good, and I think that
They
UFC
just had a fight night that was better.
Yeah,
Fight night last week was literally better than what this card is.
The problem with it is you're also following that pay-per-view, so it's like being a stand-up comic when you go on stage after somebody just like killed for half an hour, and you're like, I'm doing new stuff.
I'm really tired of laughing.
And you're like, this is gonna suck. That's literally what this card is. It's like a placeholder.
I think Brandon Moreno wins.
I agree.
I think he wins by decision. I think he wins by points. I think it's unanimous. I don't think it's that close. I think he's a much better fighter. Am I nuts? Am I on a different planet?
I mean, the odds will tell you otherwise. I agree.
I agree.
Again, I think if Brandon Moreno goes out and does Brandon Moreno things, and I think he wins the fight, and we get in still.
Cottrell, do you have a different thought?
I mean, it's for the interim belt. So I think that plays in the Kai Kara Francis favor. I think it does go to decision, and I think he's going to be the one that wins it 3-2. I know their first fight, Brandon Moreno won unanimous decision, but I really think Kai Kara Francis really starting to become. He's getting to his peak. I'll say that. His last fight, beating Askar Askarov, who I thought was one of the top contenders in that division, really showed me that Kai Kara Francis is ready to take the next step. And I think him in that city kickboxing gym, they already got Volk as a champ. They got Adesanya as a champ. I think they add Kai Kara France as the interim champ for that division, and we'll see a fight with him and Figueiredo here sometime soon.
Can we say that like Cody was dead when he fought him already? Like his chin's already been destroyed, and Askarov is the only real win that he has on his whole. Like I don't know. I
don't think you're off base.
That's a lot of those. That's a lot of those guys though at that weight class though. You know that weight class has been weaker and it's just been recycled. That's why we've seen Figueiredo Moreno so many times and why people want to see a fourth one. And you know these are really the only 4 guys in that division that are worth anything. So I kind of take that for what it's worth. Yes, I agree with you. Kai Kara hasn't really beaten anybody. Brandon Moreno is kind of the same thing because he's fought the same guys but he has that Figueiredo win under his belt. That'd be the best one between the two of them.
I mean,
so
yeah. And he beat Kai.
It's like a round robin.
I think Brandon Moreno wins the fight. I think he wins it 4-1. I don't think it will be as close as you think it will be. I don't think it will be I don't think judges will be, oh no, what are they gonna pick? I don't think you have to worry about it.
I like 4-1 as well. I think it goes the distance though.
You said 3-2.
I hate
Kai?
that this is. I did. I said 3-2 Kai, but I hate that this is for the interim belt. I feel like I've made that known in past shows. Figueiredo didn't deserve to have this be for an interim title shot. He said he was 1 month away. So if they would have they could have booked the 4th fight with him and Moreno next month, and it would have been perfectly fine. But Figueiredo is literally already fought this year. It's not like he's holding the belt or, holding it hostage or anything like that. So I hate this for the interim title shot, and I think Figueiredo comes back with a vengeance and he unifies what ultimately should have been his in the first place.
It's fair. I don't disagree with you. Let's get into the Lioness. Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena. Another fun Gene and Cottrell conversation. Just sharing you. I should make you guys subscribe to the Patreon, which we're gonna start. I'm kidding. We might actually one day. But we were talking about this earlier, and Cottrell goes, "When was the last time you watched the Amanda Juliana fight?" It was like about a month ago. I was watching, laying down late at night. UFC has those replays of their fights, and I watched it. I remember a specific combination that happened in the middle of the fight. And I've never watched a fighter get more lucky than Juliana Pena. Am I the only one that thought she was going to quit after the first round? It looked like she was going to quit. She was in the corner with her coaches. Like, her power, like, she literally said her power is just ridiculous.
I don't know if she was going to quit. I think she was definitely getting beat, and she was...
I don't think she lost the first round.
I just think she realized, I think at that point, she definitely thought this is about to be a very long night. I don't think she's going to give up, though.
I say that jokingly, but maybe next punch, she just, I'm done.
Like no mas.
But I watched that fight, and there's a combination in the fight. It happened near the end of the first round. And Amanda swings, and it's like a knockout swing, and just barely misses. And then Juliana connects with a hook. And then Amanda returns with a knockout punch, and Mitt just misses, like hair. And then Juliana hits her with another punch. And then Amanda swings again with a haymaker and misses. And then Juliana hits her with another punch. And then Amanda catches her one time and makes her eye look like it was coming out of socket. Like her head exploded. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I almost feel like you're literally it's free money. How is this under minus 300? This has to be a minus 600 fight. Why? Because Juliana won the first fight? There's no way Amanda's walking into that fight again, not 100% prepared for this fight. The Lioness is going to eat. And there's only one time you can tame a lion. And it's already happened. Amanda Nunes, by knockout, with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first round. It won't last long. It'll be a bloodbath. She's not going to miss with those punches again. And if you watch the replay, it's not like I could see if it was like a Roy Jones Jr., her dodging punches. That's not what happened. Her face wasn't even looking at the punch. She just barely missed. I urge you all to watch that replay. I don't know how this is only minus 295.
I agree. I think it gets to the second round somehow. I think, if anything, maybe Amanda comes out just a tad slower. Not intensity-wise. I just don't think she probably maybe throws as many crazy shots and maybe just tempers things a little bit. I think she works on finding her range a little bit more, getting a little more comfortable, and then I think she finishes it early in the second. And then we go back to the way things should be, and the world will start.
Valentina was asked about the fight. Did you hear about that already, Cottrell?
I did not.
She said Amanda Nunes didn't look like herself against Juliana Pena and predicted a massive first-round knockout.
Well, I think we all agreed. We watched the fight, and, even after you rewatching it, saying she just barely missed, at the same time, the reaction show, we all agreed. That wasn't anywhere close to the best Amanda Nunes we've ever seen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then it came out, she was banged up during training camp. Self-admittedly, she didn't maybe train as hard as she should have, and that's on her. I don't use that as an excuse. I think it's a damning, admission sometimes to what happens with these champs, and to stay motivated. But she wasn't in great shape. She didn't look good in that fight, and like you said, one of those punches connects an inch further away than barely missing, and she probably still wins. So I think she takes care of business Saturday.
Control?
So I rewatched that. I rewatched it late last week, Saturday, Sunday, and what I saw, I didn't think Amanda looked that bad. Obviously, it wasn't her best showing, but there was points and times where she got the knockdown on Juliana, and then she got on top of her. So I think that her wrestling and the grappling that really took a toll on her wind, and I don't think she was ready to do that. And then of course the striking back and forth when she's sending back haymakers and things like that, like that's going to take a lot of energy out of you. So I think Amanda comes into this fight more poised, and she's not going to get caught up in that moment because she saw what happened. And in that fight too, I don't think Pena even landed like that knockout blow. It was like, all right, I'm gassed. She hit me good. And then it got to the ground, and Amanda just didn't have anything left to defend anything and choked her out. So I definitely think that was just a one-time thing. And I think after Saturday night's all said and done, Amanda's going to be walking out and new. And, we're going to be talking about who her next victim's going to be.
Amanda Nunez says, Juliana Pena loss reignited my passion for fighting. I was without a challenge for so long. It was getting boring.
I mean, there's truth to it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I still think as a champion, you have a responsibility.
That,
I don't love it either at all.
Neither do I. I'm reading the quote.
I mean, we saw it. I mean, Cottrell, I mean, you knew this too, Gene. I mean, there's the rumors out there that have, pretty much been confirmed that there were certain fights. John Jones showed up 5 days before the fight to start working out and made sure he just made weight and didn't train and got in and still beat people because he was so bored.
He fought Daniel Cormier off a 7-day bender of cocaine.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
like
I think when these champs get bored, I mean, I think that's kind of what happens.
Anderson Silva,
yeah, perfect example. Again, I mean, I don't like it at all. I mean, but I think it's part of the sport. I think it's just human nature.
The question I'm going to ask you is: have we seen this before? Have we seen Ronda Rousey's exit like this, where she came back and she was like, everyone's like a Ronda Rousey, and then she got beat again?
I think that was a little bit different, though.
Why? Why is it different? Was she not as dominant as Amanda was?
No. It's not that. Ronda didn't lose to Holly Holm because she was winded. That whole Holly Holm fight, Holly looked like the better fighter in the kickboxing aspect of it, especially in that second round. Yes, she did.
She looked like
much better striker in that.
She looked like the smarter fighter.
Well, yeah, Ronda.
She was not the better fighter.
Smarter. She wasn't. She didn't lose because Ronda was winded. She lost because she was smarter. She had a better game plan than Ronda did. And then Ronda got thrown back into the fighter. Fire against Amanda Nunez. This is a fight that Amanda is already a fighter that she's already seen. So I think this is different. It's not like she's going up against, the top woman in the division who hasn't been beaten or who's been incredible in a year and a half absence.
I'll agree with you in this aspect. I think Ronda is similar in that she was kind of getting bored and she decided to literally try to outstrike Holly Holm.
Correct. That was my entire point.
Yeah.
I thought Ronda Rousey got significantly bored and was knocking women out in the first round without any effort, without any jiu-jitsu. If she wrestles Holly Holm, tackles her, takes her to the ground, she destroys her.
I wouldn't argue that.
I can
destroys her.
I can agree.
She tried standing with her, and then when she got popped a couple times, it's like, yo, your mind, and I swear, I use never back down your mind registers two things. It's back the hell up or get the hell in when you get popped. And when you get hit like that, you just want to punch back. You want to hit back when you're a fighter instead of trying to get into that smart mental aspect. Ronda needed to get her down the armbar.
About that, though, I don't think that moment happened for Amanda, though. I think it was more so the win.
Just
it wasn't.
She really just gassed.
Juliana was just outstriking her and knocking her head off, like it was in the case with Holly and Amanda.
Ronda won't make that mistake when she fights you, though.
Oh, she'll lose. It'll all be close. I really want a parting gift to Toxic Radio. I want just a full video of me talking about Ronda Rousey and like having pictures of Ronda Rousey like versus like Turtle in the movie and like kind of like it will go viral, bro. If someone could make that video, it would go viral.
the problem is in real life, like that's eerily similar how the fight's gonna go. Just telling you.
Real quick,
Turtle Jr.
Because it's our last night here.
It's our last show. We're going long. Deal with it. I'm captain now.
He actually just canceled the show.
That's fine.
Now, because it's our last night, I want you to give a fictional death that broke you.
We're doing top 3.
All right, we'll do
top. I got one. I got the one that broke me the most.
Oh God, I think it's gonna be the same as mine.
Yeah. Well, I guess I got 2.
I mean, go first. I feel like I have so many
no,
that
go
I can.
ahead. Go ahead.
I have a time for
you don't want me.
Me and Gene have spent an absorbent amount of time talking about this, so this will be fun.
I would like Mike and Jamie to give me a fictional death that broke them too.
Fictional death in either a movie or a TV show that like
Just
was
broke
like
you.
just like hit you. You were like, damn, like something
All
you
right,
never
so-
forgot.
All right. You want me to go first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
I know
go.
you're gonna steal one of mine. I have plenty.
All right. One of them, Mufasa. Mufasa dying in Lion King. That hit home, especially when I was young. But then the other one, I'm sure neither one of you guys have it, but Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal dying at End of Watch. That was tough. I love the movie.
I tell people all the time, man. To all people, it's such a it's such an underrated movie, and the ending of that movie is fucking brutal. Brutal.
Give me one.
He took Mufasa from me, jerk. I'll give you my top 3. So, corny ass movie. I think it gets too much grief for what it really is, but I think the end of Armageddon when Bruce just like lets Ben off the hook and then totally just bites the bullet for mankind. It's a good one, dude. Number 2, obviously my favorite movie, Goose and Top Gun. That was like the first like movie like I think I really ever got like that kind of emotional with. It's still hard to watch to this day. And then my number 1, I told Gene this and he was laughing when I told him. But anybody who watched Sons of Anarchy, when they killed Opie in season 4, there was mass chaos. Like I literally stopped watching the show for a month because I was so pissed off. It came out of nowhere. That is one of my top 5 shows of all time. So that one really upset me. And the way they killed him was brutal. He got killed in jail with a crowbar. Like it was bad.
All right, so I'll leave my number 1 for last, but it's probably a lot of people's number 1s. But my number 3 is from the TV series Power. When Raina got shot, I cried.
Yeah.
Like tears went down my face. You want to talk about the most innocent girl on that show, just the sweetest, kindest girl. And when she got shot, I'm telling you right now, dude, my eyes, I just watered.
I'm getting shit for my Armageddon answer already.
It's fine. Now, my number 2 is Danny from Pearl Harbor. Ben Affleck's got him. It's like, Danny, you can't die. You're going to be a father. You are.
Scumbag move, though.
That's fine. It was a scumbag move by Danny, but Danny was a good guy.
Sleep with your boys.
And my number 1, I don't know how it's not number 1 on everyone's list. It's the little kid. It's G-Baby.
Man, see.
Hardball. Stop. Don't be
No.
Don't be Cottrell.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Don't beat me.
Because we discussed this. On this is how this came up because we discussed on the way home from the show last week, and I said what kind of movie it is kind of factors in. Like if you're watching a war movie and you have 2 male leads in that movie, one of them are not surviving. There's just no shot they both make it to the end of the film. And I said the whole thing about Hardball was the same thing. Like that whole movie set up one of those kids had to die at the end. Like it was the whole premise of the movie.
I don't think so. It could have been Bad News Bears.
No, it was never Bad News Bears, bro.
They were terrible.
They were terrible.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
It was Bad News Bears. Bad News Bears in the sense that they were a terrible baseball team.
Finish my?
I was gonna let you finish, then you didn't talk.
He put a Kanye on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, he took the microphone. I'll let you finish in a minute, Taylor. But Beyonce had single.
Beyonce should have won.
when G Baby died,
He's a
and then you
lunatic.
watch the funeral, and Keanu Reeves is describing his walk-off hit, and seeing him jump over the guy that dove for the ball, and they won the game. I don't know how you couldn't be broken. G Baby was just such a friendly soul. Jarius Evans. All right, so it's getting. You got to be kidding me. First of all, Mike's got the microphone ready. I want to hear Mike's.
I just got another.
And Jamie's.
I just got another really good one.
Okay.
Somebody text me.
For me, I'm gonna go video games if you guys don't mind.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
So
I saw that comment.
It's the most emotion I've gotten during any kind of storytelling.
Says a lot, Mike.
Gears of War 3. Dom dies, sacrificing himself to save the other cogs. There's a dialogue between Dom and Marcus Phoenix during the death scene where he sacrifices himself to save everybody else, and I teared up like a baby during that.
See,
Mike only cries about video games.
Had to be a video game.
Not the birth of his daughter. Not the birth of his daughter. Just video games.
There you go.
Cue up Never Say Goodbye for our outro. Thank you.
I don't think I have that.
What's yours, Jamie?
Mine is actually from Star Wars: The Force Awakens, the death of Han Solo with the hands of his son.
See, that's a great one.
It's a good one if you're into it.
It's a great one.
Mike sucks.
Facts.
And
Mike
then was it The Last Jedi when Princess Leia passes? Is another one.
I
I'm
like
a
the
Star
first
Wars
one
guy.
a lot better.
But that was like a big deal though.
Yeah.
Yo, he literally. I don't want to spoil anything with Star Wars. Obviously, we're talking about
watch
these
that
movies, but he's literally like his son. He's like, son, like, you know, and like Kylo Ren gives him the whole like, I'm going to turn good, and then just lightsabers and goodbye.
I got a really good one. Somebody just texted me.
Go.
And it's now thinking back on it, like I use the line from the movie all the time as in like a funny way, but it's kind of a douchey thing to do. Thomas J from My Girl.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
Thomas J can't see without his glasses.
And Patches.
Patches the whole. It's not that good.
No.
That didn't break me at all. That didn't break me at all.
Patches had to die.
He drinks his urine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it was going to go.
Because it's sterile.
Hey,
And he
that
likes
sign-
the taste.
That sign broke him.
All right, you got to be kidding me, Cottrell. Fire away.
All right, so my you got to be kidding me this week is somebody who none of us know, and that's because they're an anonymous source. Anonymous source says Lamar Jackson could win 12 MVPs and he still wouldn't consider him a number one. I think that's absolutely crazy. Any guy that wins 12 MVPs should be considered one of the best, if not the best quarterback of all time. So for you to say that just means you don't have an open mind to him. You can hate his style all you want to, but if it helps his team win and it, helps him win awards like this, then you shouldn't hate on him for that. And I don't know if this was the same anonymous source or a different one, but another anonymous source says, take his first read away, and what does he do? He runs, he scrambles, and he plays street ball. And that wasn't about Lamar Jackson. That was about Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. I think it's so cowardly of these defensive coordinators to put out these anonymous quotes, things like that about these players, and they don't want to attach their name to it. If you want to say these kinds of things and be that kind of bold, own up to it. Put your name on it and then double down on it, So for that this week, these anonymous sources.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
$20 says they're both white, but whatever. Charlie.
Race baiting, nice.
No, that's what that is.
It probably, well, yeah,
they're not quarterbacks.
Because all the defensive coordinators are white. Mine this week, I'm going with Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays. Wander Franco had a great idea to go on his rehab assignment and keep $650,000 worth of jewelry locked up in a Fugazi safe in the back of his Bentley that he parked in a parking garage. And then had the audacity to come back and be like, I'm shocked I was robbed. Dude, you signed a great rookie deal already. You obviously can afford a Bentley and almost $750,000 of jewelry. Find a better place to keep it while you're not even in town. And you parked a $700,000 car in a parking garage that people are driving by constantly day after day. Guess what, dude? When you have a bright neon blue Bentley and it's in the same spot for a month, people are going to notice that it hasn't moved. it's up for boner of the year. So for this week, Wander Franco.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mine is it's a mixture of the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. So let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think Tyreek Hill has ever had a weight clause in his contract? Like you have to be under a certain weight?
Has Tyreek Hill ever had a weight
Tyreek
issue?
Hill. Jalen Waddle.
Never had a weight issue.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Never had a weight issue. You're correct. Do you think that Josh Allen's ever had a bench pressing clause in his contract? A workout clause in his contract? The answer is probably no.
Nope.
Because you don't get clauses put in your contract for things that you obviously do. Kyler Murray has a clause in his contract that he has to do 4 hours of independent film study a week that in the NFL season. Robert Griffin III was on TV today talking about a standard quarterback normally does about 24 hours of independent film study a week to prepare for a game. He goes, we do 4 hours of film study after the game at night. To have that clause in your contract, it means something really serious. And they also added that he can't be playing video games while doing the film study. There's a problem in Arizona. Here's my issue with it. One, Arizona Cardinals. Why are you signing him to the richest deal in franchise history? One of the richest deals of all quarterbacks. And paying him that much money if you have issues with his work ethic. You shouldn't need to add that clause in your contract. And if you're going to add it on a page 2 or 3 and make that shit private. That shit got out. That shit can never get out. Number 2, Kyler Murray. How are you the number 1 pick and so oblivious to the noise that's outside of the organization? I was one of the biggest Kyler Murray fans in all football. I love his talent. I think he's in a bad situation as far as his coach and the situation with I think he needs a strong, hard-nosed coach. I've been vocal about that. But this isn't on Cliff Kingsbury. This isn't on the Arizona organization for this part. You shouldn't be told to not play Fortnite or Madden or 2K while you're doing your film study. That's an absolute joke. And for this week, the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
What's poppin', Dante? You got to hear my Kyler Murray rant at the end for the film study. This is our last show in this studio. Will this be the last time we're with Toxic Radio? I hope not. Love Mike, love Jamie. Might be able to work some things out in the future. I wish them the most success in all their future endeavors because they're great individual people. This is a great place to be, and I wish them all the success in the world. But you will be hearing from us shortly of hopefully around the same time stamp, same day. We will have a remote show and some new things coming. We got a lot of things in the works. Can't let too much of it out now, but I want to take this moment to thank Toxic Radio for everything they've done for us. We started as a wee old podcast in the middle of October, headed into a pandemic. So, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I just want to echo all that. Like, I thank both of you sincerely. You guys have helped us from the absolute beginning, helped us grow, helped us, kind of make this little conversation and, for lack of a better term, a dream turn into a real living, breathing thing that we get to enjoy and do with each other every single week. So to echo Gene's sentiments as well, I hope this isn't in the end. I don't think it will be, but unfortunately, for some weird reason, if it is, we can't thank you enough for everything you guys have done for us. So we appreciate you both very much.
Yeah, just echoing off that too, the appreciation definitely can't be explained enough. Me and Gene started it like the thought process of when I first started working together with them. And so for Mike and Jamie to, just put that together for us and make it come to fruition, it's been a great thing for us, and I'm glad we get to do it. Definitely wish you guys the best moving forward. Obviously, I haven't been in studio with you guys, but you guys still make it easy for me to just hop on and, just talk about sports. So greatly appreciate it and wish you guys the best for the future.
The logo, the intro song, that's all Toxic Mike and Toxic Radio. So with that, this Wire2Wire Sports Podcast signing out for the final time at Toxic Radio.